Greetings everybody, welcome back to Over the Alps. We are on the next leg of our journey. Right, so we've made it into the tunnel, and that's where the last episode ended. And I've learned better to not save after a scene, but before the movements. So we got, basically can only look towards the end of the tunnel. So here we start. And of course it's Louisa who's starting. The tunnel seemed to run for miles with no electric lighting. It was pitch dark. Narrow enough that we had to walk a single file led the way. Are there rats down here? Louisa asked. There must be rats. Shh, did you hear that? Or they'd have nothing to eat down here. Or rats can't hurt you. You could scare her. I guess we can try that and see what happens. Then you never seen a Milano rat, Louisa replied. A Milano rat can kill a fox. There was a rat in Louisa's nursery once, Vercoli remarked. I do not think she ever forgave it. We walked on underground in darkness. Time and distance telescope outwards. Intimacy is easy. A memory like yours, Louisa, it'd be invaluable in a war. That's inciting for conflict, I suppose. You really do have a photographic memory. You saw something in Milan, something you weren't supposed to see. Theatrics, or just, let's just stick with green. Seems to be the... She was quiet for a moment. I really do. Ever since I was little, Papa says I could write down whole words I'd seen before I even knew how to read. It's quite true, her father agreed. She has a rare gift. I stopped. We had reached a branch. Identical tunnels disappeared into darkness in both directions. We go left now, Louisa said. You're certain? Okay, we should trust her. Radio. Hush, I need to think about this. Well, we should just trust her, right? Why not? We went left. And once again, it's back to the tunnels. Let's go on. A glimmer of light, but it wasn't the exit. It was coming from the arc lamp strung along the length of the railway line. Our secret passages opened out into the wider darkness of the guttered rail tunnel. You're studying engineering, or... Those Italian soldiers, do they hurt you? Well, let's do a little bit more investigating. That's right, they don't let women study at the university. Normally, I'm very lucky. I suppose it's hard being the only girl, or you must be very popular being the only girl in the class, or you mean you're smart. I suppose I still don't really know whether these red things are really inciting conflict. Maybe I've just been ignoring choices that I shouldn't be. That seems to be the compliment thing to do. Or being compassionate. I guess I still don't really understand what these remarks really mean. Let's stick with green for now and see what happens. Louisa drew a long, tense breath. The men in my class say I'm a freak of nature. They think my memory is like cheating. And is it? Or, but your father supports you. I read art history at Oxford. As in, I admit to being somebody who would also think that you're a freak of nature. Let's not stick, but go with that. And is it? It's who I am, she replied quietly. That's all. I only saw it then, Aubrey, how lonely it was to be her, Louisa Vercoli. The tunnel filled with a roar. We pressed ourselves against a stone wall as a train thundered past. The echoes battered us in waves. Thank heavens the train was electric. If it had been a steamer, we might have been poached. Not much further, Louisa said. A memory like yours, Louisa, it'll be invaluable in the war. Here we go again. Or, those Italian soldiers, did they hurt you? That option came up again. You saw something in Milan, something you weren't supposed to see. I guess it's some kind of a semi-confrontational thing here. or like digging for information versus just trying to show concern. Or let's see how this is. She shook her head. The Capitano was a friend of ours. He would never allow his men to hurt me. Alright, so 3 of these choices. Let's see. So you went with a captain and his soldiers willingly. They didn't use force. How did they convince you to go with him? Why did he bring you to Switzerland? Huh. I think any of these could be useful. Just see what this goes. She shook her head. He said he needed to get me out of Milan to keep me safe, that I was in danger from people who wanted information from me, Louisa explained. But it was a trick. Once he had you in that castle, he told you the truth? Louisa nodded. He told me he brought me to Switzerland so that his men could question me, instead of those brutes in Milan who normally do the interrogations. Louisa shuddered. We walked on, now with a coin of sunlight ahead, drawing us along towards the end of the tunnel. And move on. Okay. Oh, hi. I suppose we are at the last leg of the journey. The tunnel came out at Goshenen. Oh, right. I could have taken the bus at some point, right? But we didn't. Wolf is probably waiting. The Goshenen Hotel. It's a nice design. Simple, but pretty nice. Alright, so choices here. The hotel, or not much else. After all our adventures, Aubrey, the comfort of the Hotel Gotthard seemed too good to be true. The hotel bar swilled with millionaires and debutantes. From the window we had a view over the cars assembling for the Goshenen to Interlaken road race. No one here seemed to have a care in the world. There's a train to Erstfield in a few hours, I remarked. From there it's an hour more to Zurich. We're almost there. And will Zurich be safe? Vercoli begged. I do not know if we can return to Italy. As safe as anywhere can be these days. I have people in Zurich. Your troubles will finally be over, Vercoli. Let's reassure him, right? Good, good, said Vercoli. But Smith, how can I ever repay you for what you have done for us? Just look after your daughter. Perhaps your daughter could tell me what all this is about. What is it she knows? Or be more careful next time, Primo. Let's just be kind and see where it gets us. Ah, but she looks after me, he laughed. That is why I needed her back, you see. Louisa rolled her eyes but smiled. Oh, Papa, be quiet. I've never seen a man so delighted to be silenced. Fatherhood is quite the drug, it seems. We need to get some tickets, Louisa declared, rising to her feet. I'll go. Stay with your father. I will go. I'll come with you. And if the Fraulein appears in the queue behind you. Alright. Stay with your father, or I'll come with you. Let's do that. See if we can maybe get some more information. My bodyguard, she smiled. Very well. She took my arm. I will stay right here, Primo asserted. Looking supremely comfortable where he was, we set off for the station. Seemed to be the safest. Not sure if that was the right thing to do. Kind of thinking that may have given us a little bit more information. I know your plan is to go to Zurich, Louisa began once we were walking, but I've seen a map of this region. I think there are some better options. Okay, trust me, Zurich is the only option. I'll explain once we're aboard the train if you like, or your father will. Is this another one of your secret tunnels? Huh. Not a bad idea, right? To get some more information. An angry silence. Oh, that was a bad choice, I suppose. I tried mollifying her a little. Your trick finding us that tunnel in Airolo was very helpful, as I tried to sound encouraging. I don't think I ever thanked you for that time, but I'm saying it now, alright? She hurried around in front of me and shoved me in the chest. Why do you insist on talking to me like a child? She demanded. I am 23 years old. You aren't even much older than me. 23, I assumed younger, based on precise thinking of this behavior, in fact. Louisa, you're making a scene. I have no luck with women and train stations, Aubrey. I am 31. Let's just see where that gets us, right? She threw the insult at me with a wave of her hand. Bastard. Then just like that she stormed away. I should have gone after her to apologize, but I didn't. I was damn well going to get the ticket so we could get on the train and get out of danger. And I had just about reached the station when I heard it. A scream, then the roar of a car engine. I walked down the road already knowing that I was too late. I raced back down the street. I walked down the road already knowing... Oh, well, let's try that. A few people were crouching on either side of the something lying on the road. I grabbed a stranger. There was a car. Which way did it go? Raced over to see who it was. Louisa. The picture was clear enough at a glance. Let's look for a specific. No, Vercoli. There was blood across his face from the cut on his forehead. He was gasping. He was calling out to the lady in the car, a woman said, but she reversed into him, and she drove away. She was looking down the southwest road as she spoke. This man name is Primo Vercoli. He is well cared for. Of course, but where are you? I was already gone. There was not a moment to lose. Well, I guess whether that information gone anywhere probably would have meant he was still going to get hurt. Furker Pass. I was behind the wheel of a racing car in moments. Alright, lots of footprints. Reckless. I don't know, are they ever going to catch me? I guess I don't really know how to read that chart. We should figure that out as well. I was driving up the hairpin bends of the Furka Pass in a hot-wired Maserati, souped up by some harebrained Swiss mechanic under orders from a millionaire idiot. An idiot who didn't deserve a car like this one, or the Fraulein drove fast, but I could drive faster. I might have died on the road, Aubrey. I don't know. An idiot who didn't deserve a car like this one. Perhaps having it stolen would teach the blighter a lesson. The transmission only worked half the time. The gears changed with a squeal. For all I knew, the damn caps weren't even screwed in. The car tore through the landscape like a red bullet. It was rather fun. It was a car made by fools for fools, so I drove it like a fool. It was rather fun. I relaxed into the front wheel steering, leaned back, and ran the engine hot. I tore along the mountain road at 100 miles an hour, and God forbid anyone who got in my way. Act 3. The Chase. Nice. Oh, it was just going to keep on going. Alright, so I have to click on it. God did not forbid the goat. Uh-oh. You have lost control of the car. I swerved to avoid it. That was my mistake. If I had blown straight through it, perhaps the Maserati could have survived. The car flew across the far edge of the road. I shut my eyes and pumped the brake. I twisted the wheel, trying to regain control. I clung grimly wherever the car was going. I was going with it. Uh-huh. Let's try to regain control, see where that gets us. The chassis, lightweight for speed, barely gripped the tarmac anyway. The sudden turn tilted it up, still at 60 miles per hour. A moment later, I was in midair. Everything was heat, sparks, and fury. I think the car turned over. I found myself wondering if the goat had survived. Well, this goat keeps on showing up. Let's see that. You left a footprint. Crash and burn. I blacked out. Uh-oh. Is this where I get caught by the police? I was on soft linen, a decent mattress. From somewhere overhead, electric light filtered down through a tinkling chandelier. I heard a woman's voice nearby, but my eyes weren't working properly yet. Louisa? Fraulein? Who's there? Let's just go with a generic, "Who's there?" "Please be slow," the woman replied, moving closer to the bed. A wet towel pressed on my brow. "Here, there," it stung. "You're hurt, but you'll be all right, I think." I passed out again. September 2nd. Withdrawal from Poland or face war, Chamberlain warns Germans. In a speech to the House of Commons last night, Britain's Prime Minister launched a scathing attack on Germany. He warned that if German troops were not withdrawn from Poland, Britain would honor its pledges to its Polish ally and initiate military action against Germany. And once again, one option. So we'll stick with it and see what happens. I was in Meiringen. Again, sorry for butchering names. 30 miles from where I'd crashed. I'd been scraped up off the roadside and taken to the Hotel Leopard to recover. Leopold. Not Leopard. Leopold. Tiny town that bustles with the rich and famous. The woman tending me was my rescuer. Miraculously, I had no broken bones. Alright, let's go with that. An old bird with rheumy eyes. She said she had seen the smoke rising from my motor car. The car had caught fire eventually and worried it might be the result of a bomb. She had paid for my room in her hotel and nursed me herself. Her name was Matilda, she told me. I thanked her, but said I had to be on the way, or I must pay you back, Matilda. I asked what she wanted in return. I'll just do that. She waved my remark aside. None of that. I'm enjoying spending my late husband's money on a troubled young man. You might make a habit of it. I might make it a habit of it. She grinned. It would have infuriated him. I was warm, Aubrey, content, eating something with honey on a tray in bed and sipping coffee. Toast, I suppose. I searched my memory for something. I found I'd overlooked some small yet crucially important detail, and I remembered. Virkuli, Louisa, the Fraulein. I'd been out of action for at least a day, and I had lost all three of them. Okay. Open the door there. 10 minutes beyond Meiringen, the road forks into two. One road leads to Zurich in Germany, the other to Bern and eventually to France. Fraulein was most likely going for the German border. Would have places to hide in the Alps. You'd be foolish to guess which road they'd taken. Let's go with, she has places to hide in the Alps. Safe houses she could disappear into, like a bug under a stone. But I didn't know where to look. I needed more information. Approached the hotel concierge. Perhaps some old-fashioned detective work would prevail. Or I want to talk to the patrons of the hotel bar. I guess if you talk with anybody, that's leaving a trail, right? So let's do old-fashioned detective work. Tire track signs of any kind of hasty entrance or exit, the usual sort of thing. There were a few market traders set up on the roadside selling bread and fresh fruit and cherries in barrels, or a scour to drive the bushes around. Why not? But I found nothing. No scraps of cloth, no earrings. Perhaps the Fraulein had not even stopped in Meiringen at all. Oh, it continues. Looks like I'm searching through the hotel there. I prowl the hotel grounds. I suppose this is what happens, right, when patrons or hotel concierge. I told him I was looking for two women. He raised an eyebrow. Two, sir. Blonde of his fiancée. She ran off with a young friend. Or they're a pair of swindlers who cheated me at cards. There's 20 in it for you. Let's do the theatrics. The man raised the other eyebrow. I'm sorry to hear that, sir, but perhaps it's only temporary, he said, remaining professional. Your wife may have become overexcited from the invigorating properties of a fresh alpine air. It has happened before. He moved away, wiping his hands as he went. That didn't get too far. The concierge grew suspicious of me. He called the police, naturally. I tried to run. I didn't get far. The police were waiting for me, all truncheons and nasty smiles. Two of them got me under each arm, and I was dragged like so many potatoes to a nearby beer house. In a dark corner, a cigarette flared. You, again, spat the voice of my concealed friend. Must you insist on being the worst spy we have? I shall try harder, shall I? Or, let me go, I've got work to do. You want me to beg for my life? Let's try this. Control is not impressed with you. You might try harder. Another tap of ash. Maybe I should just let my lot do to you whatever it is they do to spies, and Control can send someone better to finish off whatever it is you think you're doing. He didn't wait for me to reply. Give me something I can use. A long, stagnant pause. I don't have time for this now. They're getting away. There's an Italian, Primo Vercoli. There's an Italian girl, Luisa Vercoli. Let's... Note, the Fraulein had been seen heading for Interlaken. Okay. Go on. She knows something. I don't know what. The cigarette flared. They were seen heading for Interlaken. You're sure? You've been watching them. You could pick them up. Of course, the cigarette flared. Well, you better run along, had you old men. I'm curious as to... the post bus ran to Interlaken daily. That's a long path. A lot of footprints, I'm sure. The road was dreadfully scenic, Aubrey. The sort of route poets would lose their marbles trying to describe, but I won't bother. I didn't see any of it. The sun set across the mountains in a whiskey-colored blaze. I didn't drink a drop of it. One question consumed me. Where was the Fraulein taking Louisa? Was this all my fault? Why was this damn bus so slow? One question. Let's be analytical. This was on the way to the German border. She must have had some other destination in mind, somewhere between here and France. These were my thoughts as I tapped my fingers and willed the post bus to go faster. Lots of footprints, highly dangerous. Now, can you even fail this game? It just says every single time that they're almost on me. I guess I have to really fool around a bit later and see if you can actually fail the game, or do you just basically get caught up every single time. Hotel? Okay. Yeah, see if you can actually fail. Arrived into Interlaken in darkness and checked into the first hotel I found. I was exhausted, still reeling from that crash on the Forca Pass. Once in the room, I collapsed on the bed in a heap, barely even kicked off my shoes. My eyes closed and all I could see was Primo Vercoli's face. Europe at war. Britain and France declare war on Germany, September 3rd, 1939. Honoring the treaty with Poland, France, and Great Britain have declared war against Germany. In a speech given today, British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain vowed that Britain and its allies would prevail against a regime that characterized by brute force, bad faith, injustice, oppression, and persecution. Alright, now we go to the markets. I ate quickly, then headed over to the town's covered market. If Wolf had come through Interlaken, she may have stocked up on supplies. After a few false starts, I struck gold at the stall of an old boot seller. A tall blonde woman and a brown-haired girl, you say? Ah, perhaps you mean the nurse. She came through here with her ward yesterday. They were going to Lauterbrunnen, just south of here. Her ward? You're certain? What's in Lauterbrunnen? Bracing mountain air, the doctor seems to think it would help with the girl's, mental condition. A doctor, Austrian doctor. Girl's mad, is she? Information. What did they buy? Crampons for snow climbing. Snow climbing? Where on earth were they going? Alright. Next stop, Lauterbrunnen. I continue south on foot. Okay, no notification about any kind of tracks or anything. I suppose this story is probably coming to an end kind of soon, but to keep going to find out. Lauter and Brent. Okay, once again, we have one option. So let's click on that. Meet somebody. I got an achievement. Lauter Brunnen was buried in a deep valley. Its streets boomed with the endless cries of the waterfalls plunging down the mountains on either side. At the very bottom of this place is a tavern with a dark corner, and in this corner were the drooping mustaches of Dr. Schweiger. I didn't know the man, but he seemed to know me. My name's Schweiger. She said you would come after us. The name is Smith. I put out a hand. If you hurt Louisa, you'll be sorry. Left you, has she? Name is Smith. I put out a hand. I know who you are, he said gloomily, not taking my hand. You're looking for Fraulein Wolf, yeah? Well, she's gone. Tell me where she went, or I'll break you in half, or what happened? She abandoned you and taken Louisa with her? Just say what happened. She just disappeared, he replied like a lost child. I went to the bar to get her a gin and tonic. That's all I did when I came back. You honestly tried to buy her a gin and tonic. When you came back, she was gone. You were kidnapping that girl. When you came back, she was gone. He nodded. He had it bad, Aubrey. Whatever Wolf had done to him in the last 48 hours, she had done exceptionally well. What about you, he asked. He seemed to actually see me for the first time. You hurt your head. It's nothing. I crashed my car driving over the Furka Pass. I am going to find her. Well, he's a doctor. We'll talk to him about that and see. I all but blushed. I swerved to avoid a goat. A goat! He gawped at me. You're lucky you weren't killed, you fool. And that wound on your head. You should get it properly looked at. You might have a concussion. I'm fine. I don't need to look at. I'm going to find her. You can still redeem yourself. Help me find Louisa. I don't care about Louisa, he replied, but if you know where Emmanuel is, then I'll come with you. Emmanuel? Honestly, Aubrey, what a chump. Move on to the next destination. Yeah, my wife just came along earlier and told me that, left me a note that Interlaken is pronounced Interlaken. But how was I supposed to know that? I can't pronounce any of these names. There was only one route out of Lauterbrunnen, and that was up. Okay. That route was up. She just showed me a bunch of different pronunciations. Anyway, we sat facing each other on either side of the train car. Schweiger looked ill, sweating despite the icy mountain air. He caught my eyes on him. I see you're judging me, he growled, but I love her, I tell you. Call me a fool you'd like, but I do. At least he had some spirit left in him, but surely you know she's a Nazi. You'll get over it. Seems like none of these are great options. You'll get over it. Let's do that. Yes, but what of it? The Nazis are reuniting our German peoples. We Austrians are proud to be part of the German Reich. Is it a crime to be a patriot? But Schweiger, as a doctor, you must see how wrong her ideas are. Yes, when patriotism leads to tyranny and murder. I saw that Schweiger had been lost years before the Fräulein met him. Okay, we can just answer him straight up. Yes, you have. We have strong leaders now, but they are needed, Schweiger replied dismissively, to restore our way of life and defend it from those who wish to destroy it. He was nodding like a boy proudly telling his father what he'd learned in school that day. Damn it, man. Can't you see the Nazis are leading Europe into another war? And when the Nazis come for you, for your family. Damn it, man. Must you blindly accept everything your government tells you? Ooh, all these are pretty good. Just, not confrontational, just get him to think. I do not have a family yet, Smith, he replied. then putting a hand to his chest. But when I do have children, I'll raise them to be proud Germans. I will teach them to be loyal to the Fuhrer. I shouldn't have bothered anything. Arguing, Aubrey. The way of thinking cannot be defeated by reasoned argument. It speaks only the language of violence and power. Nazism is a vicious cancer. Our only course is to sharpen our knives and cut it out before it spreads. Alright, and then there was only one route out of Lauterbrunnen, and that was up. We already did that. Never mind. Just reading randomly. Into the snow passes. Hey, it's an observatory. Very nice. Although, looking up right now, probably not a good idea. We rode the elevator to the peak of the mountain in silence. At the top, I threw open the cage door and stepped out onto the narrow gantry. It was the roof of the world. I never had a problem with heights, but this was perhaps my limit. Lethal drops on either side. Well, let's just do that. The view below was an enormous white void, a vast valley spanned by a frozen river of compacted ice. The Alps Glacier? Alps Glacier? I don't know. I turned to look at the brick building behind me. It was topped with a telescope dome, some kind of observatory. There was no way the Fräulein could have doubled back, and nowhere for her to hide. She's inside, Herr Schweiger asked. She must be. I took the Mauser from my pocket. Perhaps you should wait outside. Well, she wasn't outside. Let's have him wait outside. Not if she's in there. If you hurt her, I'll throw you over that balcony. I ignored him and pushed my way inside the observatory. I headed for the door. I'll get into some kind of confrontation here. Oh. Same thing. Entering the observatory was like stepping into the guts of a gigantic metal beast. Cables and pipes snaked from floor to ceiling. Workbenches were laid out with brass spheres, mesh boxes, mechanical contraptions, spinning discs, charts, and star maps plastered the walls. Gauges ticked, needles scratched out, graphs on rolls of paper. Let's just observe. Oh, very interesting, I'm sure. Not very interested. I looked under the table first. Let's just stick with observing. It was clear this place was working hard, but whether it was measuring outer space or German troop deployments, I couldn't have told you. There was no one here. Schweiger tore through the room in a fury. I thought he might start pulling machines from the walls to see if the Fräulein was hiding behind any of them. You said she would be here, he yelled. She has to be here. There's a room above. Try up there. At the far end, a door led onto a narrow balcony. A storage locker leaned against one wall. There was a trap in the floor. I don't know. Any of these, I guess. She won't be out there, Schweiger barked. I stepped out anyway. I opened the glass door, stepped outside, and caught my balance quickly. I was standing at the head of a great long table. Mountains with misty heads of hair were seated on either side. The glacier was our tablecloth, sheer white and freshly pressed. 2 black ants were crawling slowly across it, one in front, the other on back. They were heading towards a small dark notch at the base of one of the mountains. They reached it and disappeared. The meaning of what I had seen was quite clear to me. Forgive the poetry, Albert, but it was really big. I blinked, unsure of my vision. Okay, let's just do that, right? I locked the position of that black notch in my mind as best as I could. I would have to get down there somehow and follow them. You saw something, Schweiger demanded. What did you see? I went back inside. There's a room above. Try there. Storage locker. There's a trap in the floor. Right, I have to go down. But we have to go really far down. We can tell them to go look up and we can just leave. There's a trap in the floor. Padlock shut. I cast about for a key but didn't see one. Oh. Schweiger dashed up the stairs. With him out of the way, I could look around properly. Storage locker or... Let's look in the storage locker. I don't know. What else could I do, Aubrey? Shrugger was distracted. There was no time to lose. I stepped on the skis and launched myself over the balcony. A moment later, I was tucking down the slope below. I had no idea that's what was going to happen, but hey, whatever works. I skied fast and hard down the slope from the observatory onto the glacier below. The snow was firm, not fresh, and I soon picked up a set of ski tracks to follow. There were sledge tracks weaving in and out around them. Then up ahead I caught sight of the entrance of a military bunker, carved into the base of a mountain. Some kind of a storage facility, perhaps. Part of Switzerland's vast network of alpine defenses. There didn't seem to be any way to approach the bunker except head on. For long ways keeping Louisa alive, it seemed, but how much longer? So, if there were guards watching, I would have to do some pretty sharp skiing to stay alive, especially if they had a mounted gun. Indeed. Checkmate, Act 4. This seems to be the end of the story. I will have to wait till next time. There's a goat on top of that bunker. This game is kind of fascinated with goats, so we'll look at it next time. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.